Hi, I'm Shannon. I live on a houseboat to escape the rental crisis. I pay £800 a year to live in London's most desirable areas. This is my humble abode. If you wanted to live more there during normal times, it's £900 a month. This is where the toilet goes. It's disgusting. This is my dining room table that folds out. So I get asked a lot, do I feel safe? Come into my kitchen, also known as the galley. A lot of people were surprised that I actually have a fridge. I mean, it gets really cold. My dog's water bowl was frozen solid. I used to live in East London in a 3-bed house, and I was paying I think £900 a month for one room, a small room. And then the landlady was actually putting the rent up. So I couldn't afford it. And I basically started panicking, had no idea what to do. Obviously I couldn't afford that sort of rent. And I saw a boat for sale and fell in love instantly. And that's the boat that I'm sat on right now. So when I first told my friends and family that I was moving onto a houseboat, I didn't think they believed me. I do quite spontaneous things, and I just thought it was one of those crazy ideas that I came up with. It was £24,000 and I couldn't actually pay that up front. I didn't have any savings, essentially, because living in London, I couldn't afford to have savings. So I did get a loan from the bank, and I am paying that back very slowly, but it's £300 a month, which is way cheaper than what I was paying in London. So my licensing fee to the Canal and River Trust is £800 a year. That basically pays for the facilities on the towpath. So, you know, maintaining the water, maintaining the toilet facilities, maintaining the taps, the locks, the council tax essentially, but our council is the Canal and River Trust. And then I also have my gas, which is how I use the oven, heat the water. And then the coal and wood, like that's kind of basically seasonal, so I don't need that all the time. Honestly, monthly, including my loan, probably £400, £500 a month. And that's owning a property, that's not going to a landlord. This is my humble abode. Welcome to my bedroom as soon as you get in here. You can call it a bedroom, it's more of a bed nook. I have a little curtain though to give it a little bit of privacy. Not that there's anyone else here. Clothes there, there's another storage thing in here. I'm not gonna open it because it's really messy. Got more storage under there. This is my dining room table that folds out. Got another little table that folds out. These things are, when it's cold, it basically insulates the windows. They're custom made to the window size. This is obviously a mirror, but if you turn the mirror, oh, sorry, it's a bit broken. This is where the toilet goes. So this is actually the back of the toilet. That's where the cassette goes. Come into my kitchen, also known as the galley. We have a gas oven, gas hob, a little whistling kettle, which I love. So when I first got the boat, it was this really pale blue. It was like very much like a holiday boat. So I basically decorated the whole thing. These are just like stick-on tiles that I added. I painted it this green, added these little cute little doorknob things. A lot of people were surprised that I actually have a fridge and a freezer. It doesn't really work that well, but it's actually a 12-volt fridge. So when the solar panels aren't getting that much electricity, it actually knows that and goes really, really cold. So I do have a TV, but it doesn't actually plug in until I plug the whole mains in. This is a projector. It basically projects onto that wall. So if I ever want to watch a movie or something, I can do that. Yeah, so wood burner. This is for when it gets really cold. It's pretty simple. Just shove it in there. When I first moved onto the boat, I'd never made a fire in my life. I had no idea how to do it. Now I'm better. I'm still not great, but it's quite fun. I mean, it gets really cold. Like, I actually came in once. I think I was staying at my boyfriend's. I came in, and my dog's water bowl was frozen solid, and a cup of tea was like a little hockey puck. So it gets really cold, and you have to really stay on top of like the wood burner. There's been times when I woke up in the morning and I hadn't done the fire properly, and it's gone out, and I could see my dog's breath, and it's just like, I felt really mean. This is actually the cassette, what you use to go under the toilet. That is what you poop into. It opens, and then when you pull it out, it shuts, and you take it to the L-stand point. You open that and basically pour it in, but you do have like a chemical that you put in there that makes it like not smell as bad, but it still is pretty grim. Unfortunately, the L-stand points aren't always looked after by the CRT or other boaters, mainly by the boaters. They're pretty grim. So the cassette clicks in underneath where you go, and I hadn't clicked it in. So it was basically half in, and every time someone was going to the toilet, it essentially was overflowing. So when I didn't realize this until I opened it around the back, and you can imagine. It was grim. And obviously the boat is slightly on a slant, so when I opened it, it all starts coming down into my bedroom. It was horrible. It was one of the worst experiences ever, but it's character building.
Could you tell us what it's like living on a houseboat with tourists walking down these canal paths quite a lot?
So when I'm in like very touristy areas of London, say like Camden, King's Cross, people literally peer into the windows. Children, I don't mind because children are naturally curious, but when it's like grown adults literally peering into my these windows, and one time I was like eating my dinner and a guy was like that and then like waved at me and like I just felt like a goldfish in like a tank, you know. So I get asked a lot. I think as a woman living alone, do I feel safe? The answer is yes, but there's been some dodgy experiences, unfortunately. There was a time I was working in here. It was a day like today, and the door was open, and felt the boat move, and I was like, "Weird." And a guy was trying to get on my boat, and not only that, there was another guy watching. So obviously they thought no one was on here, and they were probably going to steal something. And I was in the middle of nowhere, and I thought at that point I was like, if they were nasty and they wanted to, you know, come in, they could have like completely could have overpowered me. That's where like I really raised the security of my boat. So I've like redone all the locks, got alarms, I've got signs, like I've really very cautious about that sort of thing.
The Canal and River Trust has launched a commission into the legislation that allows Shannon to continuously cruise London's canals without paying a permanent mooring fee. Some believe the review is to crack down on pirates, boaters on the Thames that don't pay their licence fee to the CRT or follow the rules of the waterway. But many houseboaters fear that rule-abiding, continuous cruisers could be inadvertently targeted by a change in legislation, leaving them with no choice but to pay hundreds of pounds a month in mooring fees and a classified on Britain's canals.
So I am a continuous cruiser. That basically means I have to move every 2 weeks and I have to go a certain amount. So I think it's like a mile and a half. I can't say exactly, but we have this kind of app that basically says where you need to move to, where your next spot should be, and like those kind of guidelines. It is a pain because obviously if you've got your friends around, you're next to a nice pub, we just love that location, you have to move on. But it's the way to keep the canal system moving, basically. So if you don't continuously cruise, you have a home mooring, which is basically a place that you can permanently pay rent to, essentially, to the Canal and River Trust, or it might be privately owned. You get different sorts of moorings. So you have them that are just literally on the towpath and you pay kind of cheaper. And then you get the ones that are kind of gated. You have your water, you have your mains electricity. So it's essentially just a floating house, and those people just never move.
How much are those mooring fees typically?
But I was actually in a winter mooring last year, and that was costing me £300 a month, which I think is quite affordable. But if you wanted to moor there during normal times, it's £900 a month. I just think it's just ridiculous. They auction them, so it's going to the richest. It's not going to people, you know, who need it. It's going to whoever can afford it. So I'm going to try and turn her on, warm her up. I don't know if it's going to work. It's a little bit temperamental. We will see. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm going to have to hammer this in. It's always issues. All right, let's see if this works. So this is Lois Levin. She is going to be playing on Tiny Boat Sessions today. I set up Tiny Boat Sessions a year ago, but I'm basically doing a re-release of it because it was inside before, so now we're doing it outside. I'm going to set up a camera on the door. We're basically going to be sitting here, and Lois is going to play some music. I have questions of my hiccup. It's manifested, I try to ignore, but it's calling, should I pick up? Or ignore it?
Do you think this is a good solution to the housing crisis?
It is a solution, but it's such a different life that if you shouldn't do it just to have somewhere to live, basically, and own a property. Sometimes I around you, outside by the place we said we